Good morning, everybody out there in Twitch TV land, and welcome to the Dawngate Community Catch-Up. My name is Andy Belford, a.k.a. Zwill, and I'm the Community Manager here at Waystone Games. And joining me today is Alex Gasty Hetu, the one and only Gasty, the lead player systems designer here on Dawngate. Hello. Good morning. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm very excited to be talking about what we're talking about today. I know that according to the Dawngate subreddit, the players are experiencing a day of unending anticipation. As who was it who put that? Secretoni put it. He must be in the EU. Like, I can't imagine how much torture it must be to have to wait for us to come online for these things.
The different time zones, yeah,
in those other
it'd be
time
rough.
zones. I mean, knowing that we were here, we're going to be in the office later and have this juicy content to talk about and reveal. It must just be just gnawing at you to want to know what. I should just stop now before somebody 50, you big troll. Love you, man. Anyways, what's the speed limit between here and Pound Town? Speaking of Vormis, dude, you are a beast. I just gotta say. You are a beast. I'm going to show this. So if you haven't, by the way, guys, you should be subscribed to the Dawngate subreddit. It's reddit.com/Dawngate. Venor and who's Venor's partner in crime? It's the name that always reminds me of My Little Ponies. I can't remember what it was.
Reminds you what? I have
no idea.
I don't know where you're going.
I don't know where I'm going with it. It always reminds me of MLP, though. They do a wonderful job of running things. Venor will probably pipe up here in a second and let us know what the name of his partner is. But Vormis just posted something yesterday on the Dawngate subreddit, which to me is all at once just awesome and humbling and awe-inspiring, like just, and also cringeworthy because I couldn't stand that much pain personally. I'm a big pansy when it comes to pain.
It's true. Tattoo is not for the faint of heart.
It's not for the faint of heart. This is how you know your game has arrived. By the way, so he posted a step by step on the subreddit. So there's his bare arm beforehand. By the way, evidently he gave blood recently, but. There we go into the outline. I'm guessing that's what they do, like a marker thing to do to the outline. Do you think? Or?
Well, with all of my tattoos, you can see I'm clearly the expert.
Well,
here.
you are the Gastytron, so I anticipate that you know everything. So, and then I mean, you can see like the first inking there. That's basically the outline, right? That they did on top of the purple ink there. I think it's actually like a transfer. They like draw it onto a paper and then they transfer it over, like by getting it wet and then take it off. I think that's how they do it.
Makes sense.
And then the shading, and I guess this particular style is called Flash style, according to Mr. Luke Harrington. I had no idea. I don't know, like you said, with all of my tattoos, none of my tattoos that I have, that I was just like. I have no idea what's going on with it. Like, I'm sure that Will or Pat could come over here and tell us everything we need to know about tattoos. But this is evidently Flash style. And then here it is, like, finished product. I mean,
it is a transfer that they get.
It is a transfer? Yeah, you do. You have them. Yeah, there you go. So there's the finished product. Well, I'm guessing that's not like completely finished. I'm sure he's gonna have to have some touch up and stuff like that done. But wow, I mean. Wow.
It's pretty awesome.
That is pretty awesome. That is, I mean, so just to kind of like, to frame this up for you guys, Vormis has stated that he already has video game themed tattoos. Mm-hmm. So Vormis, if you're in chat, you want to tell people what kind of like, what kind of video game tattoos you have here. But holy crap. Like, I mean, to have a character from a game tattooed on you, so I've worked on other games before, and I've seen the tattoos from each game, and that's kind of like, that is to me like the ultimate sign of like commitment. It is. That's why I said it's like it's awe-inspiring, and it is humbling at the same time. So thank you, Vormis, for your commitment and your dedication to Dawngate. We really Really appreciate it, and I sincerely hope that you never have to have that taken off, because it looks pretty awesome. And now knowing the style and actually Googled it and looked it up and stuff, I can see where the inspiration comes from. It's really cool. So, anyways, right on. Where's the blood and swell? I don't know, alcoholic. I don't know that stuff. So, anyways, guys, Dongate subreddit. You'll find this and other cool stuff over there. So make sure that you go and subscribe to the Dongate subreddit. So, all right. Very exciting day.
It is an exciting day.
And I'm actually going to point out, this week is not the only exciting thing we're going to be talking about. This excitement is going to carry over into next week. We have so much to talk about, we can't fit it all into one community catch-up. And we want to make sure that you guys have time to ask questions about these different features. So we're kind of going to discuss the first half of a brand new feature that's coming your guys' way in the next patch today, and then we'll be discussing the second half of it, I believe, next week. So, this new feature. By the way, you guys at home, a lot of you have been asking, what the heck are these guys working on? We basically have been putting out new shapers fairly consistently for the last, I'd say 2.5, 3 months. But aside from that, we haven't had a whole lot of major new features coming out. And that's because we've been working internally on some stuff.
Yep. Yeah, we feel for you guys out there in the community, because in 2013, towards the end of 2013, as you guys noticed, a lot of our kind of content drops started to slow down a little bit. And that was because we started to work on several very, very large features that were interconnected. We couldn't really launch one without the other.
Right.
They were very linked, so as a result, it kind of slowed down the content drops, because we needed to get into a place where we could launch all of them simultaneously. And now in 2014, it's the Waystone New Year's resolution here is to give you guys some very, very exciting stuff at a very regular interval. So this is kind of the first of our big kind of new content drops. So.
Okay, so. We've talked a little bit on the subreddit and then sometimes on the stream a little bit about retention, right? Retention of players. I've worked in online games for quite a while now, and Gasty's also worked in online games for a while. So we both understand and we know that one of the key things about running a game as a service, which is what we're doing, is actually keeping people coming back and playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of challenges with that with Dawngate. One of which is obviously the fact that we turn off the servers every, for 3 days every week, so that we can develop, kind of in a more responsible manner right now. And the other one is that outside of playing Dawngate, outside of playing the game itself, there's not a whole lot of reason right now to play Dawngate. Is that? Would you say that assessment is?
I would say right now the game is being held on just how fun the game is, right?
Yes.
Like, people want to keep playing it over and over because it's a really fun game, ourselves included. We do that every weekend. So, but what we want to we want to take it to the next level as well and introduce some persistent kind of metagame elements that allow you to have a goal to reach for after playing every game. It gives kind of persistent progress between every game. Something that keeps you coming back and be like, hey, maybe just one more so I can unlock this next thing, etc.
And so, a lot of people have been asking, when are you guys going to go 24/7? One of the reasons we actually haven't gone 24/7 is because we haven't had that persistent element there yet, is that we want to have something there for people to want to continue to come back for time and time again, and so that our retention numbers actually go up. And so more people are playing the game, more people are continuing to play the game. These are all very important things. So you see, guys and that's another reason why we haven't had a gigantic marketing campaign. We haven't done any of that stuff. All of these systems, and you guys are getting a little bit, we're getting a little bit inside the actor studio here, but you guys are our super fans, so I know that you guys can follow this. All of these things work together. It's development and marketing and community relations and all this stuff has to work together, and it has to all be coordinated together in order for a successful system to come to fruition. And we believe that this is one of those first steps towards that. So we've talked a little bit about retention features in other games. You look at, say for example, games like League of Legends, right? They have their rune system. Mm-hmm. That is traditionally something, is a goal for people to aspire to. And what do you
sort of? It's not
it's
not very aspirational.
Fair enough. Okay, well, without being overly critical, I guess we say. What purpose would you say that the rune system in a game like League of Legends presents?
I mean, runes for them represent just a form of subtle customization within their characters. It also provides a way for them to be able to spend their influence points. It gives them a primary influence point spending avenue that allows the player to kind of get something after every game.
Okay.
It's relatively, I would say my major criticism of the rune system is that there's not too much depth there.
Okay. So, without going into just right away exactly what we're doing, what are we looking to accomplish with a system that does kind of the same thing, but also serves as a retention mechanism?
So, I mean, let's just jump into it.
Do you want to just jump into it?
There's no need to, be playing these charades with the community. Let's just talk to them about the system here.
Okay. All right. No problem, man. All right. Well, let's just go ahead and we'll jump into it then. Alrighty. There we go. I'll just let you go and drive, and I'll be right over here.
All right. So, like Andy was alluding to, the big feature we wanted to reveal to you guys and talk to you guys about today is our customizable loadout system. And this is a system which has a variety of nuances to it and depth. So, let's get into it. You can see we've updated the navigational pane in the primary client here. So you can see there's now a section for your loadouts. Your loadouts will take you into this pane. This is this is kind of a really big step for the game here. This is what our goals are here. Our goals are twofold. We want to give something which is exciting to be able to change and play with after every single game of Dawngate, and we want to give players much more access to customization. So in our game right now on live, what you'll see is in Shaper Selection, you have a variety of preset loadouts you can choose from. These preset loadouts are a way for you to customize your character to your playstyle. You can give them resonance, you can give them variety of flat stats, you can give them a variety of interesting passives, but the amount of content there though is pretty limited, right? You have only a handful of kind of options to choose from. If you want something other than just the 4 or 5 preset loadouts we give you, you don't really have too much going on there. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to let you customize that in a really kind of very deep way. So this is the system that you're looking at here is our solution there. This is our loadout editor. The way that this will work is well, first of all, just to head off any concerns, I want to say that we will be providing a set of default loadouts off the bat for new players immediately, such that everybody's at a level playing field. One of the things that players really appreciate about Dawngate's loadout system right now is that everybody's on an even playing field, right? Everybody has access to the same content. Nobody's at an underpowered state. So what we want to do is we want to maintain that feeling of everybody being able to be on the even playing field. So what you're seeing right now on my Gasty 2 account is what a brand new player will see. Every brand new player will be getting this initial content for free, and it will come compiled with this default loadout, as you see here. So all the pieces of content I have are the initial starting content, and we're giving you more initial starting content than one page fills.
Just to interrupt you real quick, if you can go into the settings and turn the sound on. The folks at home would like to hear the sound. I'm guessing that's the Sparkly crew wants to hear her work.
Audio. Let's. Seems like everything except the.
It should be on.
Yeah, it's on. I just haven't actually done anything yet.
Awesome.
I haven't clicked buttons.
I gotcha.
So the way that this works is it will work on. There's 2 sections here. There are Spirit Stones and there are Sparks. Spirit Stones are these large shapes which you can fit onto this grid. They come in a variety of forms. You can see they're different sizes, different shapes, etc. So what these work, these are basically sockets are inside these shapes, and if you fill the sockets, you get the bonus of the shape. What you have here on the left are these bonuses. So for example, if I put on this big triangular piece, it has 5 sockets. If I fill them, I activate its bonus, which is the Berserker passive, which I take 5% less damage for 2 seconds after damaging an enemy shaper. So we have another passive that we give for free provided is the Duelist. So starting players will all have access to these 2 large passives and then a variety of kind of complementary stats to fill it in with. This Duelist, for example, is the old Resonance. We've renamed a lot of the content here, so if you're familiar with the old names, I apologize for that. So let's go ahead and fill in this duelist passive here. That'll go over to the sparks section. Again, this is just the initial starting content. So what I have is I have a variety of sparks, which give just kind of flat stats, which are designed to activate these bonuses. So in this case, I have 2 blue sockets, and I have 3 chromatic sockets, which will fit any color. So let's throw in some power into my chromatic sockets, throw in health, activate it with blue. The shape now has been fully socketed with the correct color. It activates, and I get the duelist passive. So this is all good and great for kind of explaining how the system works, right? You have these shapes. The shapes give you a variety of different boosts. You get these sparks. They go into the shape. They give you a variety of small stats that serve to activate the whole deal and give you a delightful passive. But what's really exciting about this system is the depth of it. So what I'm going to do is, well, first, I'm going to talk about this little button here, which is this crafting mode. So our plan for this system is to have it be something that we continuously update in the same way that we release shapers at a very regular cadence and give you kind of new gameplay options in terms of what shapers you can play very regularly. We want to do the same thing with these loadouts. So what we'll be doing is we'll be launching new content very regularly inside the system so that it's always fresh. There's always new things that you can access. Crafting mode is how you're going to be able to access that. Going into crafting mode reveals all of the content in the system, and this is content that we will be expanding continuously. This content will be, there's tons and tons of content here. This is just our initial content drop, right? This is V1 of the system. This is something that we'll be patching more and more content into regularly. By the way, I see you guys' questions. I'm gonna wait and answer all the questions towards the kind of end of the primary kind of overview of the system here. So you can see there's quite a few pieces of content here. We have it split into a variety of categories. I can look at just stuff related to health, towards utility. I can look at just a variety of passives available. As you can see, we're expanding the number of passives available very significantly, and we'll be launching new passives pretty continuously to keep it interesting. So I can unlock these with Destiny. These will never be available with paid currency, by the way, with waypoints. It'll only be available via methods of unlocking them from playing the game, one of which is Destiny. There will be alternative methods to access them as well. So as you can see, I can craft them with Destiny, and this is a lot of content here, right? There's hundreds and hundreds of pieces of content inside the system. What I want to just kind of quickly touch on is that this is the reason there's so much content here is because we are going to be giving, in addition to allowing you to craft them with Destiny and with some other methods, which we'll talk about next week, we're also going to be giving you a variety of kind of sparks and spirit tones at a regular interval for free just from playing the game. And that'll be coming as part of our loot system. So that's something that Hunter actually is going to be going over next week. So that'll be like a big primer on that system. Mm-hmm. But I just wanted to kind of head off any concerns about this being too grindy because there's tons and tons of content here. The reason why there's tons of content is because we don't want this to feel like a grindy experience. We want this to feel like an experience which you're interacting with constantly, which is why this is designed to work in tandem with a loot system. So let's go ahead and switch over to my account that has a little bit more Destiny on it.
Alrighty. You, just really quickly, just swap to that real fast.
There we go.
All right, so this is very interesting. I think that one of the things that folks in the crowd are kind of pointing out really quickly is just straight up the customization capability of this. Like, it's very, very customizable right off the bat.
Oh yeah, for sure. So we have a variety of content available here, as you see. And so here's some examples of some pages that I'm using internally. This is my pad page right here. Something that's interesting about this system, which is not possible on live currently, is that this actually allows for you to have multiple passives activated now. If you're able to have a kind of configuration of spirit stones that work with each other, you can get multiple passives activated. Of course, you'll be sacrificing some raw stats to do that, but you know, it gives you it gives you a way which you can slot that in if you should want to. So a variety of kind of the pages that I use just internally here, for example, are based around kind of multiple passives. You can see a variety of the ones I have configured here. This is one I use for sustain mages. This page, which is called "This is the best page," is a pretty good one. You know, it has all the colors of the rainbow in it. But let's look at an empty page and just go over kind of how creating one would be. So generally, you're going to look for a passive which you kind of want to be the cornerstone of your loadout here. So let's say I'm building a page for somebody a little tanky. Maybe I'll take Hoplite, which gives me power equal to 12% of my armor, and then something which synergizes well with that. Let's see, can I fit Brawler into that? I can. By the way, as far as controls, something that's nice is that I can right-click a shape to automatically fill it into any of the available locations, and it will rotate them appropriately to try to fit them in. Likewise, I can right-click Sparks to fit them into the corresponding best fit socket. So as I right-click red Spirit Stones, it will fill them into red slots, then chromatic, and then if I keep doing it, it will eventually get them into non-color matching sockets if I kind of force it.
Yeah, and then there's also the once you've placed that cornerstone piece, there's also the capability to actually filter by shapes that'll actually fit in the remainder of what you're building there, too.
Yep, for sure. So let's see. I'm trying to kind of figure, and so it's a little bit of a puzzle in trying to figure out a combination of orientations and spirit stones that will give you kind of allow you to fit the most content in. So let's go ahead and slot 2 passives in like that. Let's see, this is going to be my tanky page. Let's look for something with armor. Let's go to the mitigation category here. Let's grab some armor. You can see I have a variety of choices for armor, and this is something that we're going to be expanding. Even the small, that's like stat choices. The amount of permutations between Spirit Stone, its orientation, the sockets, how much stats it gives is really, really large. So we'll be continuously adding not only passives, which we'll be dropping very regularly, but also these kind of smaller Spirit Stones as well. And let's go ahead and drop in some armor. This is a page I'm making for a support or a tanky guy, so I'm going to use the one with the blue socket so that I can fit in some utility stuff like haste. Let's see, I need... so this is a situation where I can turn on the will fit filter. This will remove all options that can't currently fit into my loadout page, so this helps me kind of quickly find these triangular pieces I'm looking. Let's go ahead and put on some health regen. Actually, nope, I lied. Don't want that. I want some just raw health. Let's go ahead and go to health. Slot in. I have to buy some health, it looks like. Could I still have my crafting mode on? So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to unlock one of these, craft it with some destiny.
A little bit of destiny.
I have a small amount available to me, no problem. Let's go ahead and unlock that.
It's all the destiny. Alrighty.
So let's go ahead and just actually fill this back up. For some reason, it vaporized that. Probably because I right-clicked it accidentally. Let's fill in some health.
So this is actually worth pointing out what you just did. You don't actually have to leave this menu to purchase new crafting materials or new loadout materials.
Correct. You can purchase it directly inside the loadout editor for kind of ease of experience. That way, if I find myself needing something that I didn't have, like in the scenario there, I wanted those health spirit stones, I didn't have them. I can quickly just unlock them with some destiny and be good to go without actually having to get out of this experience.
Yeah, because that can be jarring, actually. A very jarring part of it.
Let's fill this up with some health. I need some more health sparks. Buy some more of those. Boom, no problem. And let's see, for a tanky person, I guess I'll go ahead and throw some power. And now I have my full page. I can save this out as, maybe I should fill those
those holes.
Has holes.
Has holes. Now, so it's actually, you're making a joke about it, but it's actually important to note that is that there are going to be some combinations, and the OCD in me, I think I've talked to you about this before. Like, it actually drives me nuts to know that there are empty spaces in there. So, like, is it the most ideal is to have something like completely filled up, or is it okay to have those empty spaces like that?
Yeah. So if I have empty spaces here, I'm probably doing it wrong in the sense that if I could rearrange this in such a way to fill those spaces, then I'm only going to be able to get more stats out of it, right? So this is something which it kind of clearly shows that I could be doing this better, but I haven't spent too much time trying to configure this. So for players who aren't a big fan of having to deal with this customization element, they just liked the ability to just pick one and go, we do provide you some pre-configured loadouts that are just ready to go. But in addition, you can also just make one and then leave it and use that one continuously for the rest of the time if you want. But for players who are more into the customization element, this gives them an ability to really go deep and try to find the perfect combination of kind of passives and stats to really fit their play style or fit a specific shaper. So this is kind of the first look at that system. We have, let's see, let's go in crafting mode. Let's grab some new utility sparks, because I don't really have too many here. So I have like percentage increase haste that will increase any amounts of haste that I have by percentage. Have some straight up ability cooldown reduction. This is one of the only ways you can get that particular stat independent of haste. This allows characters that have poor CDR ratios on haste, such as like ranged carries, for example, have pretty low ability cooldown ratios for haste. They don't get too much CDR per point of haste. This is a way where you can actually give those type of characters, if you want, that type of playstyle. So I can give direct CDR. In the future, we might be able to give direct attack damage, etc. If you really want to kind of go outside of the archetype system and try to focus on a particularly niche playstyle, this is a system that potentially allows you to support that.
Yep.
So,
I mean, it's obviously a lot of people's wheels are already spinning in their head. You can actually smell the smoke from here. But one thing that kind of goes without saying is that the introduction of the system, yes, this also means that we are going to be constantly tweaking and balancing this. This isn't like a fire and forget type of system because we know that there's lots of possibilities and probably possibilities we haven't even thought of yet.
Right.
So
yeah, like this is, and then, like I said, this is something that we're going to be dropping content in very regularly, right? It's gonna be similar to a Shaper Cadence in the sense that you'll be able to expect new passives and new sparks and new spirit stones coming into the system, and in a way, and again, make sure you tune in next Wednesday for the second half of this kind of system, which is really going to go into alternative methods of acquiring them, right?
So you mentioned earlier that every starting account is going to have some starting loadouts. Do you care to go into what those starting loadouts would look like for people and how those could actually be used to just customize even right off the bat?
Yeah. So let's go ahead and switch back to my other account real quick.
Hit F3 if you don't mind.
F3.
F3 and then F4 to get back to the game screen.
All right. And we can show kind of more in-depth options available for immediate new player.
Once again, guys, hold your questions. We are going to, here probably in about 5 minutes, we're going to have all the time for questions. We'll answer as many as we can.
Right. So, again, this is the loadout that you see here is going to be the one which is available by default. However, we're giving you more content than is in this default loadout. So you actually have enough content to immediately go and create new loadouts right off the bat. So let's go ahead and with my default loadout here, or with my default content rather, let's go ahead and make a loadout with Duelist in it. So we can grab Duelist, fill it up with potentially, let's see, this is probably going to be on like my AD carry. Let's go ahead and grab something that gives me some power. Fill that up. So, and now save that out. So this is another loadout available with just the default content, right, which is different from this initial one, which is just focused on pure stats to kind of be versatile for a variety of different shaper archetypes, while this one's a little bit more specialized for a basic attack-based character.
Okay.
Likewise, we're also giving the Berserker passive, which is a little bit more defense-oriented as opposed to offense-oriented. I can actually...
Oh my!
I can't. I was gonna say, can I fit both those in? But I can't. I can take the Berserker, however. and slot it with. This large health chunk is probably pretty good for a defense-oriented character. Go ahead and throw that triangle in to complete the page. Slot them all in. And now I have kind of a defense-oriented loadout.
Very nice.
So we have a variety of kind of starting options for a player who has no content in the system currently, such that they're still able to be competitive, right? We wanted it so that on day one, a brand new player can immediately be competitive within Dongate. Doesn't feel like they're at a disadvantage at all. Yep. But we still wanted to provide a deep layer customization for veteran players as well.
Okay, so to do a little bit of housekeeping before we go into the Q&A, or really quick, was there anything else you wanted to cover with this?
Nope. I think that's a kind of good general primer.
All right, great. So we're going to do a Q&A in a minute, but to do a little bit of housekeeping regarding this, guys. With this patch, and it is coming in the next patch, this is also going to bring with it a reset of Destiny and Shapers purchased. So we are going to be resetting all of that. We've been warning you guys, kind of letting you guys know ahead of time that this stuff would be happening. There are reasons behind that. I think that the monetization and the business team needs to test, your earn rates, how quickly you're earning these things, how fast you're acquiring all of these things, and we want to do that kind of from a clean slate type of way. We will be giving basically a stipend of Destiny to all existing accounts after the wipe. That exact amount we don't have that just yet, but it will be enough to purchase Shapers and maybe pick up some stuff from the some more sparks or stones or something like that too. So, I want to make sure that you guys know well in advance that there will be a reset though before this patch happens. So, I understand that it may upset some of you, but hopefully you guys understand that this is part of the testing process and it's very valuable data for us. So, all right, let's go ahead and go into Q&A.
All right,
that sounds good. All right, guys. So if you could do us a favor, please, and put Q, capital Q, with a colon, and then your question afterwards. That's going to help us pick out the questions really quickly, and we'll start asking those right away. Yes, we tarted you will lose your Shapers as well. So we'll lose your Shapers as well. And I know I've seen a lot of people point out the leaderboard. Yes, there is a leaderboard, guys. And there's a leaderboard. We'll go more into that later, though. That makes no sense. Okay. As beta players, can we get a special spark or stone?
That's not on me to say, but it's a cool idea.
Okay. Mars Coderix, is there a max number of loadout slots?
So right now there is 5 loadout slots available. So that is a number which we will probably be expanding going forward, but for the initial batch of content, for the initial rollout of the system, you'll be able to make up to 5 different loadouts.
Okay. So Best Tight Hunter Bosnia is asking a question, and it's pretty evident from his tone that he's not exactly happy with this, but he's basically asking why did we devise this system? What is the motivation behind it, and why did we feel like this is the right choice for Dongate?
So the motivation was really based around 2 goals, right? Goal number 1 was, hey, let's provide a really deep customization element, because it's fun to be able to kind of figure out a unique build just for you and feel clever in the process, right? Saying, hey, I turns out I can put these 2 passes together, they synergize really well, throw on these stats, and it allows me to do this early strat that otherwise might not be necessarily as efficient or as viable. That kind of deep customization for veteran players, providing a depth of the experience going forward for a really long period of time, was our primary goal behind the system. Our secondary goal was, with that kind of customization, we want to make sure that new players don't feel like they're at a disadvantage because they don't have access to all that content immediately. So we wanted to also provide a method of making sure that new players felt like they were on an even playing field. So a system that we could provide a kind of initial set of content that felt totally worthwhile and viable, right? Complete with super good passives that players are accustomed to playing with already on live, but make sure that felt perfect and good, and players were content with, hey, I can just use this and use it going forward forever if I want to, but also allow players to be able to customize their experience.
Okay. Will the profile page allow access to other other players' custom loadouts?
It is our plan going forward to allow players to view the profile pages through profile, or basically through the client rather, be able to view other people's loadouts. That's not happening with the first launch of the system. So come the next patch when the system launches, you won't be able to do that, but you will be able to do that going forward in the future. It is our plan to make that information visible.
Okay. So Claymix is asking a very direct question here. Will players using standard loadouts be at a disadvantage against people with custom loadouts?
Nope. Like I said, they are, the way that we have tuned the system is that it's all based on kind of Vim efficiency amounts, and it's the less kind of specific it is, the more efficient it is. So if you have 5 or 6 stats, you get way more of those, way more total stats than if you specialize in just power, because the chance you're going to be taking advantage of any one of those stats at any given time is lower. So the starting pages are diverse in their stat efficiency, or in the stats they provide rather, in order to be applicable to all sorts of different shapers. But as a result of that kind of diversity, they're also very, very efficient. So they should actually be totally viable and competitive with the more customized loadouts down the road. In fact, internally, I find myself using default loadout on a couple different shapers, as opposed to going and making a brand new one, just because it happens to be the combination of stats that I want for that particular shaper.
Blue Muzzy, you said this was the first half of the reveal. What's the second half? The second half is going over part of the how you actually get the components to the system.
Right. So the reason we had that kind of big content gap in the last half of 2013 was because there is a variety of large features which all kind of go with each other. Yep. This is one of those large features, which is loadout customization. We have some other equally as large and meaty features, which are coming very, very soon, and we'll be going into one of those large, completely separate but linked features next Wednesday.
Okay. So if you could do me a favor and just click the loadouts button again really quickly here. Somebody was asking, does each new account come with 5 loadouts, or do we have to purchase them? And the answer is
each new account comes with 5 loadouts.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's try and keep the questions to the new perks and loadout system, guys, if we can. Let's see here. Yes. So Novosium, yeah, we do. Will there be a new shaper? Blah, 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 blah. So somebody asked if the patch was this week, if this patch is tomorrow, and no, the answer is the patch is not tomorrow. However, the servers will be online tomorrow. Same normal beta times starting tomorrow. So, will all the stuff be in the next patch too? Are we not getting that patch this week? Again, Simroll, this patch, this content is not in a patch this week. It is in the next patch, but it is not this week. Uganomics is asking, what is the crafting part of the loadout system?
So that's something which we'll be going into more detail on Wednesday, so stay tuned in that for the complete details. Suffice to say, there will be alternative methods to gaining the Spirit Stones and Sparks other than simply earned currency with our Destiny. So you'll be able to get them from playing the game in other ways, and we'll be going into much more detail on that next Wednesday.
The truth is asking, will you be able to make all the current loadouts individually? So let's say, you really like the Force Bubble one, and it has the Force Bubble and the 6.9%. Would you be able to create that as well?
Absolutely. So you can see that we have basically all of the content that's on live is a subset of the content you see here. So all of it is available to be created with this system, in addition to a variety of other elements. So for example, I can go ahead and put on Warden, which is the renamed version of Force Bubs. Let's go ahead and throw that on. And I wanted some magic resistance, so let's go ahead and go to the mitigation sections, look for something that's magic resisty, right? If I wanted to, I could just fill up the rest of it with just really, really quick and easy magic resist Spirit Stones. Oops, that's not what I want. Magic resistance, please. And come on.
By the way, guys, I know my mic was muted when I asked that question, but the question is that will you be able to replicate the existing loadouts that are already in game, kind of the pre-made ones that we have right now? And the answer to that is yes. That's what Gasty is working on right now.
Yep. So I'm just making that it's not exactly the same as the one on live because I'm not spending too much time on it. I'm simply doing it nice and quick. But I could go and I can quickly make a a loadout with the Warden passive, which is the one that gives me a shield after being out of combat. Fill it with some magic resistance. Boom, 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 boom.
That's actually a lot more magic resist than the current one.
Right. There's been this system has different tuning. There's been the whole concept of the loadouts and passives had to go through a tuning pass in order to make sure that all the different loadouts were kind of equally viable or competitive in terms of their efficiency, but and differing only in kind of the diversity and what stats you get. So you'll see some different numbers associated with things like power, magic resistance, etc. in the system. But in terms of, I want a Warden page with a bunch of magic resistance on it, here you go, right? You can make something like that very easily.
Yep. Xeriot says, I can't tell what's renamed and what's new. I think that's basically, you're just going to have to get in there, spend some time with it, look at it. A lot of them are very similar, but there's also the capability, we still have the capability to filter by. Do we have the capability to filter by functionality as well, or? I
mean, this is all the
all the passives. Okay, yeah.
These bookmarks allow you to basically look at things based on categories, so
there you go.
You can see all the passives in this section.
Okay. The Trude is asking, is all of this tuned to Itempalooza?
Yes, all of this is being tuned with Itempalooza in mind.
Okay, excellent. Will the Destiny reset come this week or with the newest patch? Viper Edge, the Destiny reset will come with the next patch. The next patch. And I saw somebody asked, will we get a stipend like we did the last time there was a reset, and or when we rolled out Destiny? And yes, you will get a stipend of Destiny to use. So let's see here. Give Itempalooza. All right, guys, we do have time for more questions. So if you have more questions,
go ahead and throw some.
Here we go. Squeeze Core, we did kind of address this earlier, but the question is that do passive stack? Yes.
Yes. You can't have, obviously, more than one of the same passive on there, but you can put multiple passives onto a page and get both of them simultaneously.
Yeah. Well, there's another part of that, is that like a lot of these, you can only own some of them, only own one of some of these, the shapes and things like that. So, like, with Hoplite, you can only own one of them. Is that right?
Right. There's basically, we have a max ownable for each Spirit Stone, and that's to prevent players from being able to acquire more Spirit Stones than they could physically slot onto a page, right? You wouldn't want more than 16 of these single squares, for example. It's impossible to let you put more of those on, so we cap these at 16. You can kind of see I have 16 of these power ones. So the passives are capped at 1 for each of the max ownable, but you can put multiple different passives onto the same page.
Okay. No, there will not be a stat. So somebody's asking if there's a stat wipe next patch. No, there is not a your wins kills all the stats and stuff like that is not going to be wiped this next patch. So rest easy. Your Dawn Scout score is safe for now. Actually, Muzzy, you got to pay to remove sparks. No, no, you don't have to pay to remove sparks. Yes, every time you want to take a spark out, it's $1. There we go. I'm kidding. It's a joke, guys. It's a joke. We're not really doing that. Let's see here. Percent stats. Do any shapes have a higher stat efficiency per square or triangle than others? From Mars Coderex.
So there is some different inefficiency. Yeah, for example, the biggest difference, basically efficiency is determined by two kind of axes. One is the shape itself. So if it is a shape which is harder to take advantage of, it will have a higher efficiency. So if it's a more awkward shape or it puts more kind of constraints onto your grid, then it'll have a slightly higher efficiency. The other thing is the stats it provides. So for example, if I have a shape that simultaneously gives me magic resistance and armor, such as these kind of rectangular ones here, it's going to give me more total stats than if I just put two individual squares on, one that gave magic resistance, one that gave armor, because it is harder. It's less likely that you're going to be able to take advantage of both those shapes simultaneously, and it kind of locks you in, or both those stats simultaneously, rather, and it locks you into that decision. So you get a little bit of a premium for that kind of gameplay constraint that comes along with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. There's another question up here. So this is an interesting question, but the Truth wants to know how long, and I don't know how specific we can be with this, but how long do you think it's going to take for somebody to unlock everything in the system? And that's a very loaded question, because there's a lot more than just like earning Destiny that goes into that.
Right. So it's difficult for me to talk to that right now, because that question is really contingent on the second part of this kind of presentation, which is the acquisition feature, the full feature, which is designed to help acquire these, which we'll be going over next Wednesday. However, I can say that think of it similar to Shapers in the sense that hopefully you will always be getting new content put into the system continuously that is exciting to unlock and acquire. So it's not a system where you simply get all of it and then you can check out and it's over, right? It's a system which new and exciting content will always be dropped into it. Maybe, some crazy passive that works perfectly with the shaper that you like most drops, in a new patch, and now all of a sudden you really want to grab that as well. So it's something which you should be able to be constantly looking to acquire pieces of content. That being said, next Wednesday you'll see that it should be actually very reasonable to acquire a large amount of this content.
Mr. 3110 asks a good question here. He says, do you plan on making any new passives that synergize with the roles? I.e., you get a more like a 0.4 increase, 0.4% increase on gold per stack for Gladiator buff, or something along those lines that would have that synergy and encourage you to build a page specifically for a role.
Yeah, those type kind of role-specific interactions on passives are totally something that we would be looking to do. That's kind of a great example of a very niche but interesting kind of content choice that we'd be dropping in down the line.
Okay. Laments wants to know, are loadout stats considered base stats or bonus stats?
They are considered bonus stats.
Okay. Very good, very good. Mars had another question there. Hold on, let me go up to Mars. Is it fair to say that bigger shapes are more efficient?
Sort of, yes. Generally, that's probably true. However, there is going to be some exceptions. For example, if you look at some of the passives which have some more kind of constraining shapes, like something like Rogue, for example, is going to be probably more efficient than something like this, just like large block of stats, even though it takes up less total surface area, because it has more kind of twists and turns that make it a little bit more constricting in terms of its grid placement.
Well, I think that when it comes down to like any sort of like customization system, right, you always have that, you have the give and take, right? If you were to build just, say for example, for like a Kindra loadout, and you built nothing but Magic Pen, yeah, you're going to hit like a truck, but you're not going to have some of those cool effects like, with, what did we change Scavenger to? Is that Rogue or no, not Rogue,
Scavenger, it's one of these.
Yeah, one of those. So, but you won't have like that additional movement speed that you get when you're going after somebody at low health, or you won't have like something like Rogue, which is the I don't remember which Rogue is that. That's the one where you're out of sight.
Out of sight sneak attack.
Yep. So, I mean, there's always going to be trade-offs, and it's give and take, right?
Right. And I mean, while we're talking about efficiency, inefficient shapes are not bad. Like, for example, if I want a pure power page, like this, just putting a ton of power squares in here, right, and then filling it with a ton of power sparks, this is still the page that's going to give me the most power.
Yeah.
Like, I can't get more power than this on a single page, basically, right? This is like max. If I want max power, this is it, which is a totally viable page, even though it's very inefficient, right? If I spread out my stats more, if I get something more than just power, if I take passives, if I take haste and armor and magic resistance, etc., I'll get way more stats in the sense that it's more efficient in terms of like, Vim cost per point of stat.
Yeah.
However, the inefficient pages are still perfectly viable if I want something very specific, such as, hey, I just want to max power or max this or get all this, all that, etc.
Cool, very cool. All right, so we have had some requests in the chat to listen to the new music, since there is new music associated with this. Do you mind turning on the sound real quick?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Massachusetts Spirit Stone, please. Oh, I think he's talking about the one that's shaped like Massachusetts. Nice. I don't hear the music.
It is on. I've turned it on, so maybe I have to put some things on here.
There it goes. I don't know if anybody can hear it or not. Well, hopefully they can hear it.
As I kind of fill this up,
Blue Muzzy, if Sparks drop his loot and we have a max of a Spark, do we get that? Oh, so that's something Blue Muzzy is asking if the Sparks will drop his loot and we have a max of a Spark, do we get that Spark still? Or is it smart and we won't get Sparks that we didn't max? So, but Blue Muzzy will actually be covering that kind of stuff more in depth and detail next week. with Hunter. So
Yep, yeah, well, we're going to do that. Suffice it to say, we won't do anything too derpy.
yeah, all that stuff has been definitely taken into account. So New Jersey Spirit Stone Master Volume. Oh, they want you to turn the Master Volume up for the thing. Alrighty, got time for a couple more questions, guys. Oh, this is an interesting question from Mistro. Do you plan on adding any unique gems, like maybe some sort of achievement, win 100 games, unlock gem X, or something along those lines?
That kind of goes into the acquisition side of it, which suffice it to say, we are looking to provide a variety of ways of acquiring these because there's so much content. We're giving you lots of avenues to get that content. One of which, as you've seen here, is I can craft them with Destiny. There's going to be a variety of other ways to get them, which we'll be going over another big one on Wednesday. But something like, you know, achievement-esque ways of acquiring them are certainly something that is not off the table. So that's something that seems in line with our goals of how to drop them. However, obviously we don't have like an achievement system in yet, so I can't talk to it in any terms of in specificity, right? But I can say it's a reasonable kind of way that we would potentially look to be doing it down the line.
And evidently it's too loud now. God, we can't win with this.
I can't actually hear it at all. So,
I can't hear it at all either.
That's why it's a little bit difficult for us.
Let's see here. Mighty Morad is asking, have you found any changes in viability of shapers with this new system?
There certainly has been some subtle changes. Like, it allows for certain characters to have an easier time jungling. It allows for counter jungling to be a little bit more efficient on certain characters. It lets certain kill lanes run a little bit more efficiently. I mean, as you would expect, it opens up customization options, which allow for very specific playstyles with very specific shapers to only be supported more. So it has kind of opened up. I wouldn't say anything that was completely not viable before is now viable, but things that were considered, hey, maybe that was not a great idea, or maybe it was a little weak, with a kind of properly configured loadout, you'll be able to fully support that playstyle and make it perfectly competitively viable.
Okay. Lament's asking, is there a design decision behind having less than 16 sparks with some combinations of stones?
That was basically a concession for the initial starting content. The content that we give you for new players immediately is designed to be very versatile in who it's for, and in order to kind of accomplish that without having starting content being given 30 different sparks, they were designed with a lower number of total sockets, but their bonuses are way higher to compensate. So those shapes, for example, I can throw one on here. Let's go ahead and put like this, for example. This Spirit Stone only has 4 sockets. The bonuses you get from it when it is activated are far higher than other shapes to kind of compensate for its lower number of sparks. It simply gives you kind of less customization options in terms of how you're activating it. So.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. All right, guys. Well, Gasty, thank you so much for swinging by and sharing this information.
Of course.
I'm sure that the folks at home are going to have a lot of things to think about over the next week or so. And then I do see that the MOBA champion guys already have their work in progress. Boy, they got that data out. Got that data somehow, didn't they? Actually, no, we know how they got that data, but that's okay. No big deal. They did wait to roll it out, but they do have a work in progress loadout editor. I think some of the stuff they have in there is kind of out of date, though. So I don't know. We'll have to check in with them. Oh, they're just showing a picture of it. Okay, there we go. What could this thing be? There we go. So yes, they have a screenshot of their work in progress kind of loadout editor, so like you don't have to necessarily be in game. You can theorycraft with that at mobachampion.com eventually. So really excited to see that stuff already kind of getting ready to take off and everything. So very excited, very excited. Don't forget, guys, if you are looking to get into the Dawn Gate beta, we are doing a giveaway right now through Logitech Gaming. There is a Zambot will post a get your Dawn Gate beta key now thing. You can click on that link, go register for the beta, get your beta key there, and get a special Logitech G gaming icon at the same time. So aside from that, all the stats. Anything else you'd like to add to this before we close out?
All I'll say is make sure that you tune in next week as well on the community catch-up. This feature is designed to work in tandem with some other large features that we're rolling out very, very soon. Like I said in the beginning of kind of the community catch-up, 2014 is a really exciting year for Wavestone and for Dawn Gate. We're going to be looking to be rolling out a lot of very exciting pieces of content, such as the Loadout editor and some of the things you're going to see next week. So stay tuned. We're really excited about the upcoming couple months, and we hope that you guys have a great time playing with the content we're going to be dropping. So.
All right, great. Well, thanks so much, guys. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. And if you could just pull this up real quick here so we can close it out. Thanks very much for tuning in, everybody. And just a reminder, beta servers will be on at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and then closing down at midnight on Sunday as usual. So please log in, play some games, leave us your feedback on both the subreddit and the forums. And, of course, we'll be live tomorrow starting at noon Pacific time for our normal Thursday beta stream. So until then, folks, we'll see you guys around.
Have a wonderful afternoon.
Bye-bye.